Well, here we are. We've come to a place called Eldorado in Victoria, and this place was about 100 years ago mined for gold. And behind me here you can see there's an old dredge, and this used to travel up and down the river. It's run by electricity, and they used to take this up and down the river, dredging the bottom of the river and process the gold from it. So we'll go down and have a bit of a look, and it's really good. It's really worth a good look. Here we are at the entrance to this dredge, and as you can see, it's called the Eldorado dredge, and it worked like a slow moving chainsaw, each of the 110 buckets in the chain just gouging down the bottom of the river, and hopefully containing gold, they said. It was a massive steel frame, and it was made in Castlemaine, which I think is in Victoria, and assembled on this site in 1936 and operated until 1954. It says it recovered 2.2 tonnes of gold. And the amazing thing is that with gold is that you've got to probably move hundreds and thousands of tonnes of soil to just get 2 tonnes of gold. But back in those days, it was worth a fortune. And Eldorado, as a little town, came to existence just because of gold mines, and has a rich history of what was found here. Well, here we are. We're just at the entrance of this dredge, and we'll go up and have a bit of a look and see what you think. As you can see, this is just one end of it, and if we look down here, you can see down the very front of it all these buckets just to come underneath the dredge and scoop up all the dirt in the bottom of the river here. And of course, when I needed to move it, all these pulleys that you see up here, they'd lift all those buckets, and they'd move the barge around. Quite an amazing thing. You think, here we are in the middle of virtually Victoria, and they carted this thing out here and put it all together just to find gold. You know, it just shows you how much gold fever gets you when once it gets into your blood. Here you can see, you can have a closer look at you know, just the amount of work that's gone into making this huge gold dredge. And down here you can see that these buckets had carried the dirt from the bottom of the river, and they'd go all the way up into here, all the way up to the top, and inside this building's like a big tank, and it'd all go in there and water be pumped into there, and it'd agitate the water and separate the mud and the sand from the gold. And as it goes on a bit further, I'll show you where it used to come out and where they'd collect the gold. And right here we have where a man would stand here with these controls, and he'd pull these levers, and what that'd do is it'd control that big arm out there, and it'd move it up and down and control all those buckets. But his job was to stand here and operate all these levers and make this whole machine work. Now in here is, this is the electrical part of the dredge, and they used to generate electricity. I'm not quite sure if they had a boiler here or something, but this was all the electrical side of it. And a bit further on I'll show you down below that they had big electric motors that used to drive all the mechanical parts of this dredge. And it's quite amazing, and obviously could be pretty dangerous if you went in there when it was running. Now in this part here, on the right hand side, you'll see that thing that looks like a big tank. Well, all the mud and slurry used to go into there, and it had a big plunger in there which used to agitate the water and sort of separate one thing from another. And down the end there is called like a trommel, and it'll all come out of there, and it'll get sorted out, and there's probably in the bottom of those trommels would be like a material that would catch all the gold particles, and all the mud and slurry would slide off the top and go back out into the river, which I'll show you where that comes out when I get around there. But down there you can see one of the big electric motors, but underneath where my feet are there's a lot of electric motors, and that is to drive this whole big piece of machinery to recover the gold.